Okay. Um, Today I have to write about a sub-theme that goes in environmental scenarios and verses, or perhaps I don't know in which theme to put it, even extensions on communities. Yeah, on power, betting process. That's on the E section. So A, B, C, D, E. What happens with the dynamics is that we don't all come from the same background, religion, and education. So we do all have a heart and two legs and mind and feelings. And we do all have a basic knowledge, a primal knowledge, what's to interact. Now, this is a little based on dynamic meditation. What I've learned in therapy groups, of course, there is a bunch of things where you get to learn so many things, even before role playing. So when you see that players are introducing a game and then is part of what they're doing, but maybe they're not ready to move farther from their script, you simply just have to kind of, because you already know this pattern is working always like that through so many years, let's say. So you just kind of work around a trigger because you want them to up level, right? Roleplay is not really like a religion where you start from ABC, you're a novice and a nun, then you follow, like most of a rational way of thinking. Most of religions are brought on that scene where you just, you study, then you do your masters, you follow all these years. In roleplay, the roleplay is like Tantra. It has no ABC. You don't start, you have 3 stages, but you interact with these 3 stages in Tantra. I think the Buddhists too, they don't really, it's another, but the rest of the religions have a hierarchical process and years where you just, level up all these things. In role player, you don't have this dynamic going on like that, which of course is already built with your ancestral memory. You come to play, and for certain things, you already have this information to play. So I have been creating a process of a list of levels and studying all the verses, gen- the generation that's bringing more and more tags to say what this verse is and what the story contains, if it's, gore or horror. It's just a lot of chaos right now, where it's just like particles flowing or a nebula, and it's not really done galaxy to just say, okay, this is the material we got, and it's organized like that. So in the levels too, you find that not every player can have the same dynamic, and not every group, because the groups operate like, their friendship is first. So that's very primal. Then you have role players that are everywhere, which I've been role playing like that from bit one, but um, it was hard to belong to one place, but we all had to create other characters too, and sometimes do undercover work, which was very popular in the old times. Anyways, um, I mean, the old times of they were very funny, but the the new players are also bringing other things, like, and I'm very amazed to see what people are doing and how they try to conserve their style because they are afraid of being possessed by a higher vampire or higher role player. We're just goofing around and playing, and it's not really about who is on top or who is below. So when you have a strong story that's confrontational, that's where the dynamic enters, because that's all about life. You have a man and a woman, and it's not that they're gonna confront; they're just gonna fusion or explode, or so it's nuclear energy. I admire a few, a few. I admire a writer that's very into science and technology, and all the writers from science fiction and the comic have at least a basic understanding for it. There are a few writers I really admire on that part. And it's difficult to stand the complexity mind of a person that is willing to do all these acts. So I have seen from the beginning how people think that they're friends or they belong to them, right? So, well, I've been a girl that's been partying. I have the privilege to be around the world with, prominent people and very great minds, free people, free thinkers, conservative and bohemians at the same time. But this gave me the opportunity to feel another kind of independence and belonging at the same time. So what you bring to the production is part of the environment. And the chart that I am drawing is not like the charts that you see in Excel, for example, is more like geometrical. Is a geometrical and I'm not going to talk about toroidal or all these shapes that move, but it's kind of based on that. So you have all these things going on and circles of, groups and patterns of how they play, because each group has its own style. And each character is characterized by this style, and it's very beautiful to dive into the sounds and colors and the interpretation, which every character is always different, even within a group and verse. So not everyone is equally ready to get so much tension and energy. Yeah. So it kind of like it leaves an open space back to not analyze but feel the situation. And in dynamic meditation, you breathe chaotic to build up the body. That's the first stage. So it's kind of like just going everywhere, just being foolish and spiking the energy, even if it's just controversial, just then the second stage of dynamic is meditation from Osho. is exploding. So naturally, this is what happens, right? It explodes. Someone will explode for whatever reason, sometimes for the most unexpected reason that you don't really want reason to work here. You want just the energy to flow in a higher dynamic. So madness, anger, frustrations, unleashing all these things. Not everyone is ready to understand that it's a game, or could be like a therapy group that is a safe environment. So that's when people start deleting or blocking or getting out of character, which that's really like, having not a mind setting, but a setting in the program. You have to put these people on a list because you can't do that. And there has to be managers on each groups leading these very basic roles to allow the dynamic to keep flowing as the play is to emerge. So, and it's very fun. I mean, it's very fun. It's very fun to really enter in character, and I really have enjoyed every sound of it as if it's equally the same joy. I've also wished to sort of get out of these emotions as well, of course. And that is when it enters the play, because there's the beauty of seeing what's behind it or underneath and the other. And what is very important in this video to acknowledge is that all these levels and frequencies later go into higher and deeper dimensions of the self, of the board, and to move through stories. Because we don't have the groups and scenarios yet as they should, and people are streaming too much, doing monologues one-on-one. Now, in the last 5 years, where the millennials got this pattern. So then you have the third stage that's just jumping. The jumping in this meditation is just, it has maybe nothing to do with role play, but it has to do with everything at the same time. You might think you're very strong and muscular, but what's inside of you that can still jump? And when you say "ho, ho" every time you jump with the arms all open into the sky, and you start to feel all your impositions that you can't jump, all your mental like disorder that's blocking you. It can be ancestral memory from teacher or parents or even a part. Anything that's stored in your mind, what's not allowing you just to keep jumping for 15 minutes. You don't need to be an athlete to do that. But the simple jump is just a jump. There's a lot, of course, you're coming from a chaotic and expressing all these things. So, of course, you're emotionally vulnerable, of course. And that's what it's meant to do. That other stage is meant to dig inside and let it out, right? So, and then as you stop in silence and everyone freezes. What silence is very beautiful to bring the watcher within and self-consciousness within the all. And it's very important at the fifth stage to dance, because celebration and openness and is sometimes, for me personally, very hard, that stage to dance, because you are, it's hard to forgive. It's very hard to be like, okay, let's celebrate. Okay, like nothing happened. Okay, so I am working on gratefulness. Most of the time I'm shouting at God or playing God. But, we're all playing our things. And it is so beautiful to celebrate. Of course, after 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, you're already celebrating or whatever, calm, but it's just the movement, the music. And basically, for me, this is being all I've done. Um, anyone can transfer their own meaning through any example, through any mathematical theory or anything that could describe the same meaning. I can compose a music and without words about what is this, and it just plays through all that. And then you have all the 5 stages in one. Every time you do the first, second, third, they're all moving at the same time, always in a way. So even when you're celebrated to to play in your second stage or your anger or madness or what's discomforting or random, it does have to that sense of, of, of joy or celebration or gratitude of being the watcher, observing your own. And you role play your own game. What is yours? What is yours? So I'm still working on fragmentizing the many levels of role play in a player and how much can they take. So yeah, sometimes it's like, well, I don't think like for Star Wars, it's like, well, I don't think, people are ready to play in the dark side, maybe they need some Jedi training for 5 years, 3 years. Or you can enter into the elfin world and say, okay, nobody here studies nature and science. So, I think, characters have to really be solid with their identification as such character. If you're representing nature, what's the problem? Open a book and try to be a little more into that symphony. And to a parallel order, not all elves are the same. So there's a lot of history to dig there. You have the nymphs from the Greek mythology, which are the elves. The Nordics are quite different. So everyone had their time to study, and there's a beautiful thing about having this educational transmission, and the dynamic that moves has to do a lot with conflict and polarities and passing all the stages. So more or less there are millions of random stages you can and multiple possibilities you can take from. And this is what's drawing the board. I am very patient, but sometimes I think I'm gonna have a cancer in the throat or here, because it's just really too much coolness inside of me to keep so much patience for people just to I'm really I have to be with educated people. Um I only find little role players have a high level of education, spiritual education, understandings, because there is a lot of repression and fear of what they say. And it's just really tired and draining of energy. This is, for me, it's not like the high top adrenaline I'm used to have. And because I am trying to write these rules with so much dynamic against me as well, because of course if I bring a lot of dynamic, it will come back. Now, how is it going to come with an integrative board that can understand each scenario as it is, so the dynamics can go? Okay, we need maybe more players. I mean, you cannot be doing so many domains because characters. Or maybe you can, and maybe you can. Maybe you can't. Maybe I'm too old. I'm not so excited. Some people can do it even after so many years. And it's amazing. How can you keep so many characters going on? I mean, wow. I'm very amazed by everyone. Really, it's just because of my OCPD. For me, is chaos. It's chaos, disorder, and if people need to have mental disorders going all around, okay, cool. What can you do? I mean, I'm being a nanny governess, but I work in mansions, and I have been honored to do, to have all the trust from mother and father from such high class society to take care of their toddlers, of their. So I feel the prestige, and these kids play by the rule. I'm the nicest nanny I can be, but you gotta play by the rules, and they learn so quick. Um, there is a lot of things that happen with all these dynamics. Centering is very important, to be centered in character, because we are the first, and everyone who is till today is considered also the first, because it's you cannot say, oh, I'm here so many years. It's not about that. Every day is like first day. That's what it say when you start doing dynamic meditation or a meditation. It doesn't matter really how many years you've been doing the same meditation. It's always the same here now. Oh, you got a clip. Well, my Facebook channel is not working because I have this iMac that's not EOS. So it's not really working. My laptop got stolen, my Mac Pro. So they're gonna pay after the trial. I already won. It's just a matter of how much they're gonna pay. And they were landlords that are from Arabic countries, and they don't understand how things are done. I was paying my bills, and you just don't do that. You don't take people's stuff, so they go and then steal it because they were afraid, because I already had a lawyer in 1 week. So they don't want to prove this. They took my things, and they simply stole everything. So this last year is being it's kind of like sacrifice, hoping to turn all this badness into gold. And that's the spirit of transformation that a dynamic play can bring. It's not really much about being right, but what's stronger for everyone. And I think some people are capable of going through things that nobody values. Like, we were doing things that nobody values, and our families don't even read one single story of us. So we are kind of a little freaky creatures, playing along for no money. Some of us work and have a little more ethics, work ethics. And some people need to just role play all the time, which I also used to do that. Day and night, all the time, which is very addictive. This is why, yeah, as I'm talking alone, because, genius get to talk alone, it's more like, all right, let's just talk with myself alone, and then I just go write it. So 2 years and a half writing this, only to present it one day with the board. We need a lot of money for that. So at least to start. And of course it has to go to roleplayer.me. And I am psychoanalyzing everyone, every player, what they're capable for, what they're administrating, what they are number one for, and what are the attributes. It's not like a human resources. Some people are capable of doing everything, basically, but that's a genius. So that's pretty it. The dynamics. I'm not gonna tell everything because that goes into writing. Try to write it on pencil, but I thought, it's really like I was writing on this on boards. They stole everything, my boards, everything, my computer. So I have been rewriting it again for these last 4 months. Stored in my head. I remember when I got this yellow fluorescent jacket to go in the bicycle. Like, yeah, it's with no stripes. So on this winter, I got one for the winter, right? It's like fat, really big, yellow fluorescent. And when I'm in my little bicycle with this big bulb, yellow, I'm really like, I'm very important, man. Like, it's not even in my computer. Because the car is really like, and I go really fast. So my personality changes when I ride the bicycle. So I love the speed. I really love the dynamic. I really love the movement. And I think everyone does too. I mean, that's why we're not trees. I mean, that's why we have legs to walk and move, and and even humans have created airplanes, and we can study NASA and write so many stories. So because we're writers, sometimes I have write things that have happened in the news, but my characters, I think, like they say now about The Simpsons, they have predicted all this pandemic or whatever, all this, even the wild bees, the Asian giant bees that are. So yeah, you really get into a higher dynamic to and you start to read things and write things that happen. I have seen this again and again. Woo! Yeah. So, okay, that's pretty much. I just have to keep paying attention to myself. I feel alone and I feel togetherness at the same time in many ways, in different ways. So that's it. Let's see what the game brings. It's a little bit of fun this month to integrate some older players into crossovering from different sites, which is kind of delicate after the death of dear friend, role player, is kind of got a little more sensitive and private, and opening up to a field that it's kind of like he left, and we're still there in a way, yeah. So I we give it 3 months. Just chill out. Also, all this is going on in the world. It's very strong. What's going on in the world, and keeping good energy, taking care of the beauty of transforming with these dynamics. So yeah, hopefully. All right. Now it's time for gardening and get to write this part. Keep working and have fun always. Take care of your environment, most of all. Luckily, it's not all about internet really. And if the millennials like all these likes and all that, okay. Well, it's everything is part of nature. Bye bye.